Okay, this episode, final setup on our Nitrous. The nice thing about this is it's helping you guys out there who have never installed a Nitrous kit. These are the three basic things that you should check out before you start taking it out and feeding bottles to this thing. Let's check timing, let's check fuel, and then let's check the nitrous oxide systems out. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you need to go back in other ones of how to hook up the progressive controller, the leash controller, or installing a kit, go back in that library, go back in those episodes and check them out. Hope you guys enjoy this one. I hope you have fun with your nitrous kits for years to come.
All right, today's the day that we are going to try out and test the nitrous. Got everything done. Everything's wired up. Got the purge valve in there. Whoop, right there. And now I've already gone through, got all that set up. I still got to go over the wiring for the purge valve, make this look all nice and pretty. This is just a makeshift little nozzle in that sense to make sure that, we're not going to get it here. We still got to do a little bit of fiddling, but it's enough to try everything out. Already got fuel in it, ready to rock and roll. So then we are going to go through what I said before, the three basic tests, which a lot of you guys out there, I'm sure you do them the same way. But again, this is for you guys that have never put a nitrous kit on and are kind of curious at, the how-tos of a, just fixing some more here, sorry. How-tos of a basic kit. So what I'm going to do initially is timing. So we're going to establish a timing first. Now, yes, the motor's already been established, but I put a 10-degree chip in the setup. So first stage, right there, we got a 10-degree pill in it. So obviously what we're going to do is fire the car off. I'm going to hold it at maybe 2,500 RPM. And I'm just going to hit the micro switch. Fuel's not turned on. Nitrous isn't turned on. But the nitrous controller and everything else is running. So I should see a 10-degree drop. And that's what we're going to shoot for. That's stage one.
All right, so I chose 10 degrees on this thing for the simple fact of I want to see it move a good amount. Plus, I also want to be able to hear it drop as well. Now, with this, also, it's not just a matter of, I hit the switch, I hear it drop, and, it kind of sort of, pulls some timing. I want to make sure the box is pulling exactly the 10 degrees of timing. So what I did was I marked it at 40 degrees, and then I marked it 10 degrees below that, and that's what we got.
Did my best. Hopefully you guys could see it on the timing gun where once we hit it, it dropped, and it looked like it was doing its full 10 degrees. That's how much we pulled out of it. So now, that's stage one. Now we know that the timing's getting pulled. Obviously, before you just take it out and you start hammering on it and feeding bottles to it, you want to make sure that the timing's getting retarded. Now on to stage two. We know that's good. So now we're going to turn the system on. We're just not going to arm the bottle. So it's going to have fuel, all that stuff. We're going to fire it off, and then you should hear the car load up. You should hear just kind of and stumble, and it's getting loaded up. Hopefully you could hear how RPM came down. I mean, you took 10 degrees of timing out of the car, so we went from 40 degrees of timing down to 30. A motor like this will still run okay at 30, but you could hear the and then it comes down. It's not stumbling and bumbling. When the fuel gets added to it, you should just about be able to kill the car. This has got 150 shot. We went with the lowest setting for nitrous, and that's just what I also suggest. Don't go to, hey, I'm going to eventually work to 300. That's how you should do it, not I'm just going to hit it with that big number. Start low, make sure everything works, move on from there. So now, stage two, let's check the fuel.
So we're good, we're ready to rock and roll. Just pull the timing gun off. Now we're going to move into stage two. This one is making sure that the fuel is going to actually get into the equation. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to light the motor off again, and then we're going to arm everything, do it all. We're just not going to turn the bottle on. So only thing that's going to happen is the fuel itself. We're going to check for leaks first, make sure none of that stuff's going on. Then you could hear the motor, you can hear the motor and you can see the timing mark move and all that stuff. And it does change the RPM where it's, but it's not going to die. It's not going to just kill the motor and die. You put the fuel down from a nitrous kit and you're going to hear it stumble and bumble because obviously it's going rich. So then we know that the fuel is going to work right. Then we move into stage three to where we arm the whole thing and we tag it a couple of times to make sure it spikes and everything's going good there. So we'll move into that one next. So now let's check fuel, make sure we have no leaks, go on from there. If you want to turn power back on.
No, I did. No, all I did was pulled off.
Power's on. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to prime the front one. Just look at your fuel lines and all that stuff.
Off this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can see on my fuel pressure gauge already, up here, you can see on the fuel pressure gauge already, we're already building pressure. So, everything's good in here. No leaks. Oh, no leaks. So, for that test, everything was cool. Obviously, you're just checking fuel leaks just like what you would do if you put a brand new system in your car. So nothing's bad from there. We built up pressure to the regulator, which is pulling about 7 pounds, which I don't think is anything crazy. Readjust that when you know everything's good. But for this point and purpose, now we're gonna check. We wanted to make sure nothing was leaking here, nothing here. So we're all good. So now we're gonna fire it back off again. Check the fuel. So, I'm going to turn, we got nitrous system armed. It's already armed, because all you have to do is look right there at the little screen. Yeah. So that'll tell you that flying one's on. That's why I did that, so where you're in the car and you can see, okay, I'm on. So at that point, we're going to fire this bad boy off. Tell as soon as I hit that micro switch, where you could see the car or hear the car all of a sudden go, oh, and it was like you just took the wind right out of it, and you could see it puff black. So we know now, and we can smell it now, that it's, I got 116 in it, so it's, yeah, it's good stuff. Smells great. Wish you guys could smell it. But at that point, now we know the fuel's working, and what we're also looking at is in here. Was there any leaks that we had coming off the solenoids, into the nozzles, anything like that? And I don't see anything here. That's why I tagged it a couple of times. I don't see anything. So at that point, we're good. And the next step is going to be lighting it off with the nitrous. All right, if you want to turn power on. Now we're going to try to do the whole kit caboodle. Oh yeah. So, go ahead and turn on the bottle. Do about a quarter turn, let it fill the line, and then go all the way. Crank it up. After you get the whoosh, then you finally open it up. This is how Steve's talking about it. So we're good there. All right, we're going to light it off. We're going to go here. So we click on both fuel pumps. Screen just turned on, so the nitrous is armed. I'm going to rev this thing up to about 3,000 RPM, just and I'm just going to go click, and you just give it a little tag just to make sure everything's working right. And if we hear rah, then we know, hey, we got 150 shot working right. So also what we're going to do is, because obviously the nitrous is so cold, we're going to be making sure that the lines, because it hasn't broken past here yet. So we want to make sure there are no leaks in the lines here, no leaks in the lines here, anything like that. I'm just short couple of little bursts and that's it. But you should be able to see some frosting or anything like that in your lines. So here we go. Water pump on too. All right. And that, my friends, is really stinky. Whew. But that, my friends, you could end up hearing it where it just was just kind of like I was revving it up. That's why I want to do this with a small shot, a little 150, to where it sounds like I rah, like I revved it up, but you can hear it as clear as day. I mean, you could tell when I hit the throttle or hit the micro switch. So at that point, now we're good. So I was seeing right around 6.5, because I looked at this once we actually kicked it on. 6.5 is going to be our starting point. Now, you also want to flow your nitrous. We'll show you that stuff later on, but this gets us in a ballpark. We're pulling 10 degrees of timing out of this thing, which is way more timing than that what you want to throw out of 150. Being super safe, even though we're just doing a short little bop. Just being super safe that we're not going to hurt the motor or anything like that. So that is the test. That's what I like to do before I decide to, hey, let's go out on the street and just start feeding bottles down this thing. Break everything down a step at a time. Make sure a retard works. Make sure the fuel works. Lastly, make sure the nitrous kicks in. We're good to go. So at that point, the next step will be getting this thing down the track. And we'll probably make like a 330 hit. You know, I don't know if we'll do an 8 mile, but roughly like a 330 hit. And when you feel that you're safe enough that you can shut the car down to where you can still come get it with like a tow vehicle, at that point you shut the car down, you coast, we get it back, you pull out all your plugs, read all the plugs, see how our timing's set up, see how the fuel is. If everything looks good, take it a little bit farther. At that point maybe we go to 1,000 feet, shut it down. Check everything out one more time, make sure everything looks good. If everything's good, you got that green light, run it, you know. At that point, we're good to go and you could run it. Now, let's say we want to do the 850 class. This car in 150 shot should be capable of running underneath that 850 zone. So, if everything looks good and all that stuff, we should be able to run it to maybe the 8th mile and then have the nitrous itself turn off and then just run it out the back door just on motor. Don't know yet. We got to get it to the track and figure things out, but that's all the fun of testing going down the track and all that. But we're good to go. So the next steps with this thing is we got to get the car scaled in still, and we're setting that up to where either we have to take it to Jimmer over at Go Fast, or he's going to come out here and scale it here. Time will tell. We still got to make that phone call and see what's going on with him. But I don't see why we wouldn't be able to get this thing down the track at least once this year. I mean, it's a nice confidence builder that everything's there, all the wiring's done, everything's hooked up. I mean, we're good to go. Dad's working on, you know, the front nose and working on some of the exhaust trim rings.
Oh, the exhaust trim rings, plus we're working on the trailer tow hooks.
Yeah, so we got to get it set up to where we can actually lock it down on the trailer and all that stuff. We got the back done, but the front, we still got to hook those up. And then this bar here is going to actually go off the front nose of the car. And then we're going to end up just building some additions, some gussets that come off of this. This will stick out of the front nose of the car a little bit, and then we'll be able to thread into this. And then at that point, we can use that to be able to pull the car on the trailer, if we have to pull it with the golf cart, anything like that, that this will do the job. These are just, you know, rod ends that you can get that you would use on like a 4-link or like a ladder bar system, something like that. So this is 1 1/4 inch 120 wall, pretty much the same as what you'd use ladder bars and coilovers for. So this will go up front, and then that way we can get it on and off the trailer. And once this stuff's on, and we get it scaled in, hopefully within the next couple episodes, you guys, we'll be able to have it down the track, and we'll definitely get to see how fast it runs on motor. You know, nitrous, we'd like to be able to try out the nitrous and do the testing like we said, but the biggest thing right now is getting the old man down the track and getting him some seat time. We got to make sure the brakes work, you know, parachute's okay. Just there's so much that we have to check on the car for us before we decide to start even feeding 150, where it's like, well, it's only 150 shot, this and this and this. You guys got to remember, you're going to be going 160 plus miles an hour. You want to make sure your stuff's working, you know, and you want to feel safe. There's no what ifs. We don't want a what if at 160 miles an hour. So that being said, I wanted to show you guys those 3 steps of what I do for making sure your nitrous is set up. Some people might look at it as being a little overdone. Hey, you don't need to do all that. I would rather know that each individual thing that makes this happen, all of those stages are working properly, and I'm sure some of you guys, that's just the way you do it. It's like, well, yeah, that's basic. Well, I want you guys out there that have never done it before, that are hooking up your first nitrous kit, to be able to get through this safely and enjoy it for years to come. So that's pretty much all we got going on right now. We're just going to finish up with getting some of this stuff welded on and the stuff that we yip-yapped about here. So we will see you guys on another episode. Don't forget to hit that share, that like, that subscribe, and we will catch you again. Until we meet again, my friends, have a good one.